You okay? Jeez. Hey, welcome to Transit. I don't know if it's your first time here, first time in a long time, but just know we think this is the best place for you to be on a Sunday morning for a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons is because what we're going to talk about today is going to help you as you navigate an inevitably more difficult school year than you had the year before. Because here's the reality. With school, with life, with relationships, the older you get, the more you progress, the more complex and the harder things get. Isn't that true? Like, I don't know about you, but when I was in second grade, that was a lot easier than when I was in sixth or seventh grade, especially all y'all sixth graders. My heart goes out to you because you just moved up into this room with some people who've been doing it before, so life gets more difficult, doesn't it? And here's the reality. I kind of wanted to bring a way to show you this, give you a picture of it. Can you believe how strong I am? That is amazing. All right. So I want you to think about this year and kind of your life in terms of this bucket. Let's say this is you. So a lot of you started this school year and you're like, you know what? This teacher, a little bit more difficult than the teacher last year, and now you've got a little bit more weight to carry. Or my relationship with my parents, it just got a little bit heavier. The sports are harder, the classes are more difficult. Things are just kind of progressing, and it's a lot more difficult than last year, and you're starting to walk through life going, I'm a little heavier than I was before. Maybe not like literally or physically, but at least like emotionally, relationally, it's like life seems to be a little bit more. Or maybe for some of you, instead of just one or two things adding to the weight and the difficulty of your life, maybe it's a lot more difficult. Maybe your parents are going through a divorce, and that feels like a lot of weight is added to your plate. Maybe that friend that you counted on moved away, or maybe you were that friend and you moved away, and now you're in a new place. And you've got to figure out the dynamics of everything. Maybe, all of your friends left you because of a rumor that started and you don't really know what to do now or how to make new friends. Or maybe you just have questions and doubts. Maybe it's about God. Maybe it's about yourself. Maybe you're having trouble loving yourself or other people. And you're like, this is just so much weight to carry. And now that life that you knew last year feels a lot heavier and a lot more difficult this year. And so that's why we've been in a series talking about friends, because there are fake friends that exist in your life, and there's real friends that exist in your life. The first 2 weeks, we talked about how fake friends are selfish, and real friends are selfless. And in the second week, we talked about how fake friends will exclude you and other people, and real friends will include you as part of the community. And today, what I want to talk about when it comes to fake friends versus real friends may be the very thing that you need to help navigate a life that is growing increasingly more difficult and increasingly heavier. But I want to tell you a quick story about a time when my life felt this way, all right? And I kind of found out the difference between fake friends and real friends. I was going into my freshman year of high school. Some of you leaders in the room remember that time of your life. It's a really tough and difficult time because I was just a boy going into this school with all of these grown men and women who were walking around with beards on, and I was like, how you doing? I weighed 82 pounds. I always tell people that God made me really skinny, but really fast with a big mouth. So when I'd talk off the people that could beat me up, I was always able to run away from them. It's how I've survived this long and will continue to. But anyway, I was going into high school, and I had chemistry class, which I was really scared of because I was what, a lot of scientists would call dumb. And so I was going into chemistry class, and I'm really psyched out by it. But I had somebody older in my life who said, hey, here's the key to chemistry class, okay? All you got to do, it's not about the studying, it's not about the test, it's not about the homework. The way that you get a good grade in chemistry is, you know this if you've been in there, the lab partner. Because if you can find a lab partner who's really smart and they're going to do all the work for you because they don't want to fail, then they're just going to drag you to a passing grade and you're going to be fine. I'm like, that makes total sense. I'm doing it, all right? So I walk into chemistry class on the first day, and we walk in, the teacher walks in and he says, Johnny was a chemist's son, Johnny was no more. What Johnny thought was H2O was H2SO4. And if you're a high school student in the room, maybe you've heard this before. And what that means is Johnny had a dad who was a chemist. And one day, Johnny comes home, and he's parched, and Johnny's thirsty. He looks around. He sees a glass of clear liquid on the table. He's like, oh, that's clearly H2O, water. But his dad, for some reason, had left out some H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, and Johnny drinks it. Johnny dies. This is the first thing they tell me in chemistry class. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. What is this morbid poem? What are we doing? And so he tells us this poem, and he's like, I tell you that to say be careful in chemistry class because there's deadly chemicals, things like that. I'm like, great. I'm the least responsible person in the world. I shouldn't be here. And so we're sitting down, and I'm looking around the room, and I'm like, I got to find that perfect lab partner who's going to want to pass this class and going to drag me along to an A. And there she is. Okay, not only is she bright, but she's beautiful. She's what I call the it girl, you know, when she walks in, she's hovering above the ground and her hair's flowing in slow motion like a Carrie Underwood music video. You know the type, okay? And for the sake of this conversation, you know, we'll call her Emily because that's her name. And so I see Emily, all right, and I'm like, Emily's got to be my lab partner. That's the one. Well, it just so happens we break up into lab tables by 4. And I'm sitting here, and one of my best friends, David, was right beside me. Emily was in front of me. And then Celise, who really doesn't have any other part of the story, so we'll just leave her out of this. Bye, Celise. Okay? We're all sitting at this table, and the teacher is going through all of the things. This is a beaker, you know, this is a Bunsen burner. I'm like, that's a funny word. Everybody's like, you're really immature. I'm like, I know. And so he's going through everything, and I'm coming up with a plan. And I'm like, I've got it. Here's what I'm going to do. So I'm like, David, listen. You and I are both stupid. He's like, I know. I'm like, okay. So we can't be lab partners because we'll fail. He's like, that makes sense. I'm like, I am going to put on this big display to get Emily to be my lab partner. So then we'll probably date, get engaged, get married, buy a house, get a dog. If she's not allergic, I'll ask later. He's like, all right, tell me the plan. I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. When she gets up to go get her goggles out of that little box that shines light on them, and they're like sterilized, when she's up there, I'm going to take a beaker from under the cabinet here. I'm going to put H2SO4 on the beaker. I'm going to put a little bit of water in there. And when she comes back, I'm going to drop some really awesome line, and I'm going to drink the water. She's going to think it's sulfuric acid. She's going to say, no, my future husband. I'm going to be like, no, I'm fine. She's going to be like, oh, Hercules, you know. And we're going to start dating, get engaged, get married, buy a house, and get a dog if she's not allergic. And he's like, dude, that's an awesome idea. I'm like, I know, right? So she goes up to get the goggles. And I grab a beaker from underneath the cabinet, and I put the little piece of white tape on there, and I write H2SO4, and I put just enough water in there, not too much that she's going to be like, wait a minute, but just not so little that she's like, anybody could survive that. You know, that perfect amount of H2SO4. And I set it there, and I adjust it so she can see the label, and she comes back as she sits down, and I get up to go get my goggles, and what I didn't know was my friend David hated me, all right? Because while I was gone, he dumped out the water and put in it white vinegar. And so I come back to my seat and I look at David and I say, it's about to go down. And he's like, yes, it is. And so I grab the beaker and I swirl it around a little bit. And I look at Emily and I said, hey, Emily, that Johnny's got nothing on me. And I throw back what I think is water. And as soon as the vinegar touches my tongue, I think, it's H2SO4, you're going to die. It's H2SO4, you're going to die. So I did what any of you would do. Don't judge me in this room. I just, unfortunately, the girl of my dreams is sitting right in front of me. And at this point, her and I both are convinced that it's sulfuric acid that I've just spat into her face, eyes, and mouth. And so she freaks out, and I freak out. And you know, you're going to walk into chemistry class one day, and you're going to see this shower and this eye washer in the corner, and you're going to be like, wouldn't it be awesome if we got to use that someday? Yes, it would be, unless it's the love of your life that you've just spat acid in her face, and now she's washing all the mascara down, and your dreams are floating down the drain. I'm over it at this point in my life. But what I realized in that moment was David was everything we've talked about in the first 2 weeks, but beyond that, he was what we're going to talk about today. Because when the going got tough, when the situation got difficult, when things got complex, David didn't take responsibility, he took off. And what I want to talk about today is the fact that you can't count on fake friends. Here's what I know about all of the years I've been alive. I realize that all of you right now, whether you know it or not, in your friend groups, there are some fake friends. And a lot of us, the way that we made our friends and the way that we have our friends isn't because we sent out some application to make sure that they line up with our ideas, our values, our core beliefs, and things like that. The way that we made our friends was we were in the same class, our parents had dinner together, we were on the same sports team, you lived in my neighborhood, and so there wasn't really a lot of criteria to develop the friendships, but there has to be a way to determine if the friends are fake or if the friends are real. Because here's the reality, fake friends flake. That's an easy way to remember it. With David and myself, I thought we had a strong friendship, but when it got tough, the fake friends flake, meaning they leave. And so what I want to talk about for the next couple minutes, okay, and then I want to send you to small group to talk about this. I want to talk about this concept found in a book called Ecclesiastes. Kind of a fun name to say, Ecclesiastes. You kind of smile when you say Ecclesiastes. And the person that wrote this was super wise, and they knew what they were talking about. And it's incredible to me that all of these years ago, thousands of years ago, they were having a conversation that still is sustainable today, a conversation that still helps us all these years ago when friendship looks so different, when friendship primarily takes place over a mobile device or in a culture that's totally different than what they had. It still applies today. Because here's the reality, all right? Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9, 10, and 12. 2 people are better than 1. Now, if one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Maybe that's been you. Maybe you've been there before where you didn't like physically fall down, but you know you're down and out and you look around, you go through your contacts, your texts, and you don't really have anybody that will understand you or help you. Pity the person who's in that situation. Though one may be overpowered, whether that's like physically they're getting beat up or whether that's like emotionally they're getting overpowered by some of the things that they feel or think and the thoughts that they have. 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Now, what the author's saying here is this, all right? One person, this is you. Look at you. You look great. A little skinny, but you look great, all right? This is you, okay? This is you against all of the weight that life has given you. And what the verse is saying is that one person probably can't match all the weight of life. I know, it's tragic. You just broke in 2 pieces, all right? But here's what the verse is saying, okay? The verse is saying you by yourself do not stand a good chance against all of the relational issues that are coming your way, all of the emotional issues that are coming your way. And it's not because you've done anything bad or you're a bad person or anything like that. The reality is we live in a fallen world that throws a lot of junk at you. And the older you get, the more complex and the bigger the issues are, the more that's at stake. And so the more weight gets in this bucket. And so rather than trying to do it ourselves and getting to this place where we're broken, what the author is saying is we need to surround ourselves with more people. And when the people come alongside us and we hit these situations, real friends will help you lift it up. It says that a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. The weight on your own is impossible, it's difficult, it will break you. But the weight for you and some of the friends to surround around you and get behind you and get in front of you and support you are able to carry the weight. Because here's the reality. Fake friends are quick to leave, but real friends stick together. Fake friends, they're quick to go, oh, your parents divorced, that looks tough. I'm out of here. You know, good luck with those sad feelings. But real friends say, hey, I can't understand what you're going through, but I'm with you. What do you need? How can I help? You just want me to sit here and listen. You want me to sit here and cry with you. You know, fake friends say, oh, you made a bad decision on Friday night and you're in trouble. I'm out of here. Real friends say, hey, how can I help keep you accountable in the future so that we don't run into this situation again? What can I do to help you make better decisions? How can I be that kind of friend? You know, fake friends see things getting tough in school, and it's like, oh, you're going to have to stay back a grade, so I guess you'll have to make new friends in that grade. And real friends say, hey, look, this stuff has always come natural to me. I've always been able to figure it out. How can I help you? Let's push through this, and let's figure it out together. Fake friends in your life will leave. So if you notice a pattern of that person in your life who every time the going gets tough, they get going, you need to just let them go. Because there are going to be people, especially in your small group when we're about to dismiss to today. There's people around you who will stick together and help you lift the weight that life brings on. Fake friends are quick to leave. Real friends stick together. And here's the key to that, okay? Justin, how do we find those friends? How do we sustain those friendships? How do we make this work? Here's one thing that I've always found to be true. The friends that pray together stick together. If you want it to rhyme, the friends that pray together stay together. Now, here's what I mean by that. That doesn't mean, hey, it could mean this, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get together every morning before school at 7 a.m. and we're going to put our hands on each other and we're going to pray out loud so everybody can see it. We're going to make a big display because friends that pray together stay together. And then when people walk by, we're going to chase them with our eyes closed and try to touch them and pray for them. Don't do that, okay? That's not necessarily what I mean by pray together, but it could look like this. It could be a group text among your small group. Every morning you get up, you say, hey, how can I pray for you guys? And then you're honest and you're open and you're real about the things that are going on in your life so that you don't have to carry them alone anymore. And you're honest about the things that you're having to carry so they can say, hey, you know what? We're going to pray for that with you and we're going to carry those things with you. And then you can be able to discover real friendships. It could be in small group when it comes time to talk and pray. It's not a tickle fight, but it's more taken seriously where you guys can share real things. Because here's the thing. If you'll be serious and take small groups seriously, then come Wednesday during the week when you wish you had that small group with you to talk to, you will. And so I'm just challenging you to begin to develop some rhythms, some ways that are unique to your group and work for your group to be able to pray together to establish and experience those real friendships. Well, it starts right here. In a second, I'm going to dismiss, but here's what I want you to think about silently to yourself. Because you could just shove this question away, that's for somebody else, I'm not going to take it seriously, or you could take it seriously and we could begin a real conversation even this morning. Okay, here's the question, think to yourself. What do you, and it's in capital because I don't mean the person beside you and I don't mean, your grandmother's ex-boyfriend's boss's dog. You're not praying for them. What do you want prayer for? What's the thing right now that you're like, if somebody would pray for this for me and kind of start to carry that weight with me, it would at least make a difference in me knowing that somebody's in it with me. So I want you to think about that. I'm going to pray to dismiss, but when I say amen, we're going to go to small group. If you're in 6th grade, you're going to stay in this room for an awesome surprise. 6th grade's going to stay, but let me pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God, thank you that you have developed friendship, God. When Jesus was on earth, one of the first things he did when life began to get tough is he surrounded himself with friends. And so, God, I pray that we would model that in all of our relationships. I pray for everybody in this room that they would have no problem finding the real friends in their life. And, God, I pray that the fake friends that are in their life, they would just flee and they'd go away and we wouldn't have to worry about those fake friendships. So, God, for the student who's sitting here saying, I don't have any friends, I pray that during small group, they would realize that that's a lie. And that they would realize that they've been surrounded by people who are willing to pray with them and for them and who are willing to link arms and support them all the way. God, thanks for transit. Thank you for this week. I pray that everybody be safe and we be able to practice real friendships. It's in your name we pray. Amen.